Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. In this video, I'll be going through my AFLW fantasy team reveal for round 6. And I think this is a very important round of trades in the season because I think it can show you between sort of rushing upgrades and then also getting the big fish this week. I've been saying it throughout the week. I think it's pretty obvious what I'm going to do. But I'll sort of explain the mathematics behind it, or my thought process about it, and how I sort of measure risk and walk you through the options that I see with trading this week for me personally, and how you guys should look at trading as well. And then, yeah, that'll be that. And I'll look at the captaincy and vice captaincy and what I'm going to do there, because there's still potential this week that obviously we get teams tonight and something could happen, like Regioni could be dropped or something of that regard. But there's a good chance that I go into this week without without a red dot. So anyway, let's jump into it and sort of talk through the theory. So first of all, I'll talk into the upgrades, I should say, but not the most, in my opinion, optimal approach for this round. So a lot of people would look at this and go, Conan, Paxman, Rowley are probably, we'd all agree, are the 3 weak spots in this side at the moment. So a lot of people would look and just say, oh, you got Greaves, you got Centra, they can cover for Rowley. Rowley can go down to a rookie, etc. You could do something like Rowley, Pax, and Conan, and you can probably upgrade there through, let's just put in Reedy. I think Reedy is going to be in most people's trade plans anyway. And then you'd have 2.01 million. You can go to a Lucas Rod there, and then you can go to someone else on the rise there in the defensive line. That can be an obvious upgrade if we just go to round points or something like this, and then you'd go potentially to someone like a Heath maybe, or something of that regard, and you'd have 190k spare. So that would leave me with probably a 70 or so on field here, and then an 80, and then also another sort of 80 as well. So that is roughly about, what, 160, 230 points between them there. So and that's probably best case scenario, is a 70 from Greaves, 75 from Greaves. Let's just say 100 from Lucas Rod is best case scenario. So 75 from Greaves or Centra. So that's 175 plus Heath 75, which is 250 points, right? 250 points, best case scenario, or probably 275 points is absolute best case scenario. So then this is why I have a feeling it's wrong, is, well, this actually isn't the worst option, but secondly, if you do something, and this is the trades that I'm looking at this week, is getting rid of Greaves, because her cash generation, if you actually look at it, and this is where I'll say it with this, is that there's, if we look at Bogue here, you'll see it as well here, Bogue, 55 break even. If we look at Greaves, she has a break even of 55 as well. Those two are close to losing cash or not really gaining cash. Whereas you've got girls like, I know Banfield is rather low, 17 break even, but if she goes to 42, she's going to get 65k cash generation, whereas Bogue is expected 11k. So there's already that much of a gap. And then if you look at Greaves as well, she is probably expected to still gain another 44k, whereas Reedy, if we look at her, is expected to gain 105k. So there's the cash gen flip there. So there's that. So there's a potential that you don't realize the cash generation of Bogue and you don't realize the cash generation of Greaves, and you lose that. Rowley, we all know, needs to go. That was just a failed case. I know she's got a 35 break even and could easily jump it, but I think that that's more likely to be an outlier result than anything else. So I think that that's fairly safe to say. And then this is where I think it becomes really apparent what sort of best case scenario is in this case, is if we go to Garner here. If we go to Garner and we plop her in, you'll see I do have enough to get her in very, very easily. I can also get a Reedy in, and then that would leave me with the likes of 494k spare for a likes of a forward. If we go here and look at the forwards for break evens, You'll see I could get a Mackenzie Ford in who's done relatively well. That would be a little bit of cash generation there potential because she's done rather well in recent weeks. If we look at Ford, he's 17 break even and she's gone 65 and 50 the last couple of weeks. Could be potential trade out next week anyway if she does go back to her worst. But I'd need to look at her sort of stats there because it looks like she's just sort of had a couple of decent games rather than actually a change in role. From what I can see, yeah, it just looks like she's had a couple of decent scoring games. So I probably won't go down that path, even though she's looked rather good. If we go to Mackenzie Ford here, you can just sort of see it that it looked a little bit outlandish or outlierish, sorry, I should say. 50, 65, she hasn't done more than like 48 in her rookie season. And there's not really much that has changed. It's just sort of the tackles going up and the handballs in general. I mean, Tog to a certain extent got back to sort of this range that she was, yeah. So it is just, I think, uptake in scoring in general. Is a tackler, which does do all right, but yeah, I can't really see there being value there. Levi can't get to, Yessi, you don't want to, and then Banfield, basically same break even, but I'm saving 140k for Banfield, who I think is in a rather similar role to the likes of Ford. And I'm saving a little bit of cash there for that. So I do like it a little bit more if she does play. So that's why I would be going down. So I will put that there. And then I'll talk through the reason why I think this has more upside. So if we just confirm that, everything there, now you're going to see that Garner is in there. So it's Garner, Cohen, and Paxman that we're looking at. So if we look at last week, for example, and I'll bring up the Heath trade, and I actually valued Heath at 100 in best case scenario. She's hit that once. Outside of that, she's gone 75, 77. So you could say that that's an outlandish best case scenario, but we'll use best scoring for all of these girls and show you the upside, I think, with this one. Pax has gone 79 at her highest. Conan at her highest has gone 78. That right there is 157 points. Now 157 points. If we look at Garner, she's got 158. So that's 315 at their best. If we look at Lucas Rod at her best, so we go Lucas Rod 98, and then we go also Heath 101, so that's 199, and then we go also the likes of a best case scenario for a Centra or a Greaves is a 75. So that's 275. Absolute best case scenario, most likely gonna be probably in the range, more likely or sort of average scenario is about 240. Now, can the likes of Garner, Conan, and Paxman beat 240? That's just a Garner 120, which she's averaging 114. Pax 70, Conan 70. So that is 140 between those two, and Garner a 120 there. And that's beating out Lucas Rod, who's averaging 80, who's averaging 88. So you've got that. Then you've got Heath, whose average I would say is going to be 75 in the long run. So that's that. But it's the big difference is this. Garner is a fallen primo, basically, at her price point, it feels like. And when she actually plays full games, the average is ridiculous. So I'm rather, this Garner pickup in this play is a lot better because I think that she can go back to 125, 130. She's playing Carlton, who are a relatively decent side, but I'd value Carlton around about this 130 range for her that she scored against the likes of Geelong. And that's why I just think it's a much better play is to finish off this midfield because the M5 is probably going to burn a heck of a load of points each and every week. So yeah, getting a solidified, because if we look at this and we look at my midfield, and I know I'm missing quite a few, but if we look at the averages, average points here, Riddell, I'm missing Riddell, Nanscon, Conti, Hanks, etc. In terms of that. But you've got Bowers there who can easily go up in the future to a Riddell, I think is the best play. And then also you've got Chris Barkas there. So if we look at it, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I've got 5 of the top 11. And Chris Barkas is only, 5 points away from, that's 11th, 10th, 9th, 8th, is only 5 points away from 8th. So she's not burning too much in general, but she could easily have is one poor, that Sydney tag game away from, averaging a lot more. That would be 426 divided by 4 is about a 106, which would put her right in that range. And Bowers is roughly the same. 71 off her is 453 through 4 is a 111. No, yeah, 113, I think 114. Yeah, 113, which would put her around the Garner Nan score. And so, yeah, if they don't have poor games, those two are right at around the top 5 and top 7 range that I want. But you can tell that in the next couple of weeks, if I'm able to upgrade a Prasparkas up to a Riddell, who Riddell in a poor performance put up 106, which is quite ridiculous. If I'm able to do that, then that'll be the gap that I'll able to do. But I just think that sort of looking at a 3-player case scenario, it's like Paxman and Conan are probably worst case scenario burning 50, 55 points to Lucas Rod and Heath. Now, worst case scenario for a Garner versus a Greaves or someone of that regard, Centra or someone of that, is somewhere up in that 90 range. So when you look at it, 50 compared to 90, I'm taking the 90 every week. Garner also gives another potential captaincy option as well. And also in saying that as well, I get the potential cash gen, the double cash gen of Banfield and Reedy, alongside solidifying and realizing the cash generation that Bogue and also Greaves had done. And we know that their break even is close. So that's why I'll say it like this, and I think it comes back to my preseason sort of principles, is realizing cash gen. Bogue is basically done with cash gen. 55 is going to be quite hard to jump up again. If we go and look at Bogue here, with the 75, which I don't think she's done or has rarely done, if we look at it, she's done 75 once. She's done 75 and 70. She's only hit her break even 3 times out of 5. And she's only made more than a 10K. Well, if she had scored what she'd scored, compared to her current break even, she's only gone above about a 10K price rise, expected price rise, twice out of the 5 games. So when you start to look at those numbers and you start to go, yeah, there isn't much to gain. Greaves is probably the one that I'm a little bit concerned about, just because the role is there and she could score. But when you're getting rid of Greaves, who's getting 64, 70% time on ground, compared to a Garner who, not only that, is getting more time on ground, but is also just in a better role and scoring better. Like if we look at Greaves here, comparatively, if we look at her sort of stats, you'll see 50% CBAs for a 63 from 64% time on ground. And I don't know if she's going to get the role comparatively to Garner, because if we look at the CBAs for Richmond here, you'll see that they've got Conti. Mackenzie only had 38% CBAs, and Bacon's in there quite a lot. McKinnon obviously won't be in there as much because of her injury, and Greaves 50%. And they've got Dalloway, Greiser, Scott, etc., all taking some CBAs. I know that there's some rucks in there as well. But you can see that Ellie McKenzie could easily just stifle that role there. And I think in all honesty, if you're looking at it, you're probably looking at the likes of Bacon, Greaves, and also McKenzie taking up sort of 200% worth potentially. And I would rather probably have McKenzie up in that sort of 80s or so range. And that means that Greaves can't really do much in terms of her percentage there if I'm looking at it. So that's why I think that she won't get as many CBAs as Garner, obviously, and Garner is just one of the better scorers in the comp, so that's why I'm going to go down that route. And I'm not really too concerned about, yes, there is a little bit of concern that Greaves goes like 80, 85, 90 or something like that. We can use the projections off Plath and Bogue and look at that. She would jump up like 80k. But is 80k best case scenario for Greaves worth it compared to getting a Garner who could go 140? There was a chance that she went 140 this week, but she could go 140 this week and break it open. So that's the reason behind all that. Now on to the captaincy options. Gardner has GWS, and Marinoff has the likes of Gold Coast. Gold Coast just give up points, it feels like, to everyone and anyone. If we go to fixture difficulty, it's probably going to prove me wrong somehow. But if we look at the best fixtures for the round, or the next little bit, we can actually do it through this. if we look at the best fixtures, Gold Coast is one of the best and GWS is one of the best. But I just think that Noffy is going to be is a better scorer than Gardner and has a better matchup. So you just go down that route. If we just go to the likes of the and look at where the fixtures are for this week, let's just quickly look at who has the that's weird. That's kind of weird because that doesn't feel right. But anyway. If we go to, as you can see, I don't know what that was even looking at from the just Google in terms of AFLW. But as we look here, you can see that Sunday, at least, that they have the last game of the round. So you could put in a Gardner VC, or you could put in also a Garner VC for me. That's probably what I'm going to do, is a Garner VC on the Saturday. The Saturday, yep. And then on the Sunday, we could look at something of a potential loophole if Garner does really, really well. Because, there is that potential there as well. I just need to probably structure up my trades a little bit better to enable me to get that loop there, I think. So, I don't know exactly how I do it. But, that's probably the way I do it. I don't know if I'd be able to actually do it, just thinking about it logically here, because that's making cash and I don't have enough cash in the bank to be able to do that. So I don't know if I can actually activate a loop when I get it exactly, because I won't have the ability to reverse any of these trades. So that actually does suck a little bit. Is there any earlier game that I can get a loop on quickly? Don't think there is realistically. So maybe I just have to go with the Gardner VC into a Noffy, and then maybe one of these girls has to pull out or something like that. Or maybe I can just go for a loop to start instead of a Bamfield or something like that. But and I might also go with the likes of a Lauren Young anyway, just because she is really touted, and I do want to just potentially look at grabbing her up instead of a Bamfield, because I feel like Lauren Young could do really well, but I just have to look into that a little bit more. But anyway, that is the video there going through my AFLW fantasy team reveal for round 6. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys did, remember to like and subscribe, turn the notification bell on so you know when I upload, and I will see you guys later tonight for the live stream of the teams at 5:45 p.m. before the teams get dropped at 6:20. So I'll see you guys then. Bye, guys.